Good morning. Today we are at some random casino that I found on Google Image, and we are doing the first ever episode of Q&A Bingo. Today's Q&A topic is military bands. Joining me at the table we have celebrity guests Charlie the Chimp from Toy Story 3, and Big Black from, well, some films that I can't talk about on this channel. So we have 20 questions and 5 licks that we will be doing, all of which were assigned to a certain bingo number that is on each of our boards. And as the game progresses, I will leave the scores right here, as you can see. Right now they're all empty. Yep, got that editing going on in here. And drawing our bingo chips, we have the love of my life, Cowbell. Cowbell is still on a vow of silence until inanimate objects are recognized as people. Go sign the petition, it's in the description. Okay, Cowbell's first bingo chip for us is from Aaron McShane. Do you guys tour all year round? So in the Commandant's Own, the United States Marines Drum and Bugle Corps, we do a good amount of touring, but no, it is not all year round. The big tour we have is in February and March. That is where we tour the West Coast usually. We also go to quite a lot of DCI shows in the summer, which we won't be doing that this year. And there are several other gigs that we may have to travel to. Some are out of the country, most are within the country, but it is not all year round. We do stay here in Washington, D.C. Well, not here, this is some random casino from Google Image. But we usually stay home in Washington, D.C. That's where the majority of our performances are throughout the year. Next question is from Vinny Snowball. Have you killed anyone? No, I haven't, but he has. Next question. From Rogue Network. Would I have a better chance sticking it out with college and finding jobs after, or joining a military band instead? Okay, this is a very good question that I get asked a lot, and honestly, I'm not gonna tell you guys how to live your life. This is up to you. What I did, so I went to college, I got my master's degree, and then joined the military because, well, I couldn't get a job. It was like really, really difficult. So if joining a military band is really what you want to do, I would recommend auditioning right out of high school, because if you get into the military and serve and you are discharged honorably, then you get free schooling after that. But a lot of musicians in the military come in with degrees. Like, a lot of people in the Commandant's Own have degrees, some with master's degrees like me. So you may need to go to college and or March Drum Corps first to sharpen your skills and get good enough to make a military band if you are not accepted at first. But remember, I'm not telling you how to live your life. It's up to you. You guys do what you want. This is just me sharing my wisdom. Next is from Church of Christ Ministries by Carl. Are you still screamed at when corrected, even in the band? So I'm sure a lot of you have watched videos or movies about boot camp, and yes, the screaming is real. That is very, very accurate. But in the bands, like, usually it's generally a very professional atmosphere. I'm not gonna say no one's ever got screamed at, but it is very rare. Like, you have to, like, really, really mess something up to get legitimately screamed at. Next is Jacob Walker. How was getting your chops back after boot camp and whatever other training Marines have to do before they go to music school? Okay, so a couple of things here. So in the Commandant's Own, we don't actually go to music school. That is for the fleet band musicians to get, you know, kind of a crash course in some classical music training, but that kind of doesn't really apply to what we do in the Drum and Bugle Corps. What we do is more similar to DCI marching. So in the Commandant's Own, we go to boot camp, and then we have Marine Corps combat training for 28 days, and then we get to the unit. And as for the chops part, I made a video right after I got out of boot camp. I recorded a bunch of licks before I left, and then played the same exact licks right when I got back, to see if I got any better or worse. So I'll leave it up to you to decide. Go watch that video, I'll leave a link in the description, and leave a comment telling me if I got better or worse or stayed the same. Next question comes from Red Dog Mama HD. How long is the average length of service in the Commandant's Own? So in the Commandant's Own, we sign a contract. It is a 4 years active duty and then 4 years of reserves. Now, as far as the average amount of service each person does, that's totally up to them. Like, more people get out right after their 4-year mark. Some people choose to stay in and make it a whole career. Some people go a little bit past it. It depends on what you got going on in life. So it's minimum of 4 years, and it's 20 years until you retire, but some people actually are super motivated and stay longer than that. Completely up to the individual. Next is from Kanan Hupp. Jeez. Okay, we freaking get it. We got it. You won. You won. Good job. Good job, Charlie. Everyone clap for Charlie. He's the winner of our bingo tournament. But we're not stopping here. We're playing for second place. Me versus Big Black over here. Ultimate showdown. Anyways, Kanan's question is, has someone ever said thank you for your service, even after you bring up that you are in a military band? Yes, absolutely. All of us musicians in the military bands, we have to go through the same exact training that anybody else in the military would go through, depending on what branch you're in. Now, there of course are the haters out there that will say, oh, you're only really a Marine if you're in the infantry and saw active combat. Just know that those of us in non-combat roles, we are still absolutely 100% needed, both to serve our country and support the Marines that are in active combat. And for the bands, that means upholding traditions, as well as aiding in the recruiting effort. So yes, in my opinion, anyone who is currently serving or has served in any position in the military, thank them for their service. Oh man, we're getting fired up here in Q&A bingo. Next question. Kenneth Orutsky. Have you ever had to play during war? If so, did you or any other drummers get injured during it? Okay, so, back in the good old days, when wars were fought with good battlefield etiquette, the band would lead the troops to the battlefield, and each opposing side would square off and then start shooting at each other. So if this was the year 1861 right now, yeah, this might be something I would need to worry about, like getting hit by a stray bullet on the battlefield. But wars are fought entirely different now in 2020. If I went marching into a combat zone, yeah, I go cranking out some triplet rolls into this active war zone, I will get freaking shot right away. No, I do not worry about leading the band into war, because that hasn't happened in hundreds of years. Next question. From Riley Hale. Yes! Bingo! In your face! Thank goodness, I was afraid I was gonna get last place to people that don't even have a brain. But it's okay, we'll keep playing, because Big Black still wants to finish. Riley asks, do most people in military bands have at least a bachelor's degree in music? Or are there members that join straight out of high school or college, studying something other than music? So in the Commandant Zone, there are a good amount of people who just came straight out of college. Most of them had marched some kind of drum corps, like DCI or DCA or even WGI. And for us, the experience of doing DCI, that is actually more relevant than getting a degree in music. But having a music degree will definitely help you get a spot and may set you apart from some other people. And yes, in our unit, we do have quite a few people who graduated with degrees that are not music. And next we got That Chubby Body. What are the reactions from the other Marines when they see you filming your videos? Like they walk in and see you as Steven and acting like a dork. So I do most of my recording in the Marine barracks, however I do it like kind of late at night, like probably around like 8 o'clock. It's just easier to do it at the time because less people are walking around, it'll be less distracting. However, when people do walk in and see what I'm doing, it's usually like kind of funny, and generally nobody really says anything. They just kind of watch and figure out what's going on and then walk away. Next! Aiden Relkoff. Are you done there? Are we done? Okay, clearly we've all gotten bingo, so I guess we're done this video. Nah, I'm just kidding. We're gonna answer the rest of the questions. Aiden says, would you ever stay in the military long enough to become an officer? Can you become an officer in the Commandant Zone? So I could have went in as an officer if I wanted to. However, musicians all go in as enlisted. So if I went to officers candidate school and became an officer, I would be doing some other job that's not related to music whatsoever, and that's not what I wanted. But in the Commandant Zone, we do have 3 officers in our unit, and they are all promoted from within. But honestly, I don't think that I would want to become an officer, because once you get that spot, you don't perform anymore. And while yes, you do get a nice raise in pay for getting that position, right now that is not an interest of mine. Might change later, I don't know. Next question. Swimming with the fishes. How many female percussionists have there been in the Commandant Zone? I actually don't think there has ever been a female percussionist, not that I know of. I do get questions from females asking if there are females allowed in the Commandant Zone. Yes, absolutely. We actually have 3 of them right now. And there is no discrimination on gender like whatsoever. Like it just happens that most people who audition are male. So females, you are all highly encouraged to audition for the Commandant Zone. Like please do. Matthew Olive asks, what other Marine duties do you have besides performing in the Commandant Zone? So once you've been in the unit for about a year, you get what are called billets, as in secondary jobs. So I have a few of these. The one that takes the most time up is my job in the public affairs and marketing team. I do a good amount of work working on the Commandant's own social media pages. The big one we got going now is the digital drumline project. I am doing all of the editing for that one. It is a freaking beast. By the way, thank you guys all for submitting clips there. I think there's like 400 different videos that I'm gonna have to sort through and organize, but it's gonna be epic by the time it's done. One of my other billets, I am the music section leader for the tenor line. I am also the BEQ squad leader, BEQ meaning Bachelor Enlisted Quarters. I am also a squad leader for loading crew when we're loading gear on the truck. I am also a police call squad leader at the barracks, which police call is basically taking out trash. And my last billet, I am one of 3 Marines that are responsible for the percussion supply closet, making sure no one takes any gear without signing anything out and then keeping an inventory. So yeah, it's basically like 6 jobs all rolled into one thing. And I also do YouTube full time. Next question. War Doge FN. If we ever went into a serious all-out war like World War I or II, would you have to participate in said war, or would you be discharged? Okay, I definitely would not be discharged. That means you're like out of the military. Like that definitely wouldn't happen. So this is a good question, and I get asked this a lot, and this was something I was concerned about before I, got in and figured out what was going on. So the short answer to this is technically yes, it could happen, but very, very, very unlikely. So if some insane war came about and they needed all hands on deck fighting on the battlefield. According to the official Marine Corps website, when we are at a time of war, the band's primary mission is to provide security for the 1st Marine Division headquarters element. Now this appears to be specifically written for the Camp Pendleton Fleet Band, which is where the Marines 1st Division is, but it appears this would apply to all bands in their respective military installations. So basically the infantry Marines that are guarding post on these bases, they would get deployed and the musicians would take their spot on post. Because we need somebody guarding the base, right? You gotta have somebody holding down the fort. So that seems to be a very solid plan. But we would have to follow orders if that would change. Though I do see it highly unlikely for our command to deploy the musicians out into combat. And this is not something that I worry about happening. Okay, that's all the questions I got for you guys today. If you still have a burning question that you need answered, please compose that in a comment below, and I will do my best to get back to you. And of course, don't forget to click that subscribe button, and ring that Liberty Bell, and click that like button. And also consider buying a custom t-shirt, such as this one. I will leave that link in the description. And have a good morning.